Today's topic is conversions. We're going to look at speed, area, and volume. So a speed is a length per unit time. So a distance per unit time. So if you travel at 60 miles an hour, 60 miles in an hour, how far will you go in a certain length of time? In other words, length is the x and the time is in seconds. So a distance per unit time is a speed. So if you traveled, if x were, say, 60 miles, you could automatically determine that the time required has to be 1 hour, because 60 divided by 1 then is 60. So typically you might see an equation: distance is equal to speed or rate times time, x equals vt. So if you go 60 miles an hour for 1 hour, you went 60 miles. So a distance per unit time. And you could have different units. You could have feet per second. When we do the area, we're going to be looking at the area of a rectangular surface, of a circular surface, the area of a cylinder, and the area of a sphere. So you have to know the equations. You have to know how to calculate them. And the area of a rectangle is length times width. That of a circle is pi r squared. A cylinder is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. And you might think, how am I supposed to know that? Well, a cylinder looks like this. And so you have pi r squared from the circle, like right here. There's 1 pi r squared. Here's the other pi r squared. So we have 2 pi r squareds. Now we have this cylindrical tube. Now if you take a scissors and cut through the tube, and just cut through the tube and then lay it out flat, what you'll find is you have a rectangular surface. And so where if this were the length of the cylinder, that's what this would be. And if you cut, you notice the distance of a circle, that would be this side here. And that would be 2 pi r. 2 pi r. And then, so now we have a rectangular surface, 2 pi rl. And so the rectangular surface is 2 pi rl. Or 2 pi rh, however you want to say it. We'll let this be h, because that's what I called it there. So 2 pi rh. Now, the area of a sphere, so like if you have a basketball, the area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared. Okay, and so that's one you're just going to have to remember. There's a derivation for this, but it involves much more mathematics. So let's just stick with the definition and memorize 4 pi r squared for the surface area of a sphere. Now when it comes to the volume, now we have the volume of a rectangular object. So we have length times width times height. So if you look at a box, right, you have the length, well, the width and the height and the length. Length times width times height. And so that is the volume of that rectangular cylinder. So volume of a rectangle, length times width times height. The volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. So you have a cylinder. See again, we have pi r squared from the area of a circle. So that's this part, or this part. And then we have times by the height. So we have this side times it by the height. So pi r squared h. That's what we do. And the volume of a sphere is 4 pi r cubed, 4/3 pi r cubed. So almost missed that 3 right there. See, volume of a sphere, 4/3 pi r cubed. One thing you should know is that 1 milliliter is equal to 1 cc, which equals 1 cubic centimeter. This statement is valid always. This is always true. 1 milliliter equals 1 cubic centimeter, which equals 1 cc. This will always be true. If we are talking about water, so for water only, so if we were to include water, then you could say that it also equals 1 gram. But this adding on here, this is only valid for water. So you could only say this if you're talking about water, okay? But 1 milliliter equals 1 cc equals 1 cubic centimeter, valid all the time. 1 gallon is equal to 3.78541 liters. So almost 4 liters is 1 gallon. Not quite, but almost 4 liters in 1 gallon. So that's our English to metric conversion. That's our ratio that we'll use. So let's look at the first problem. So we have 25 miles an hour and we want to go to meters per second. So we start off with 25 and we have miles per hour and we want to go to meters per second. Well, you should know that there are 1609 meters in a mile. That's one of those conversions that we memorized. And you know miles has to go in the denominator because they have to cancel out. So now I have meters per hour. But you should also remember that there are in each hour 3,600 seconds, because we've done that one too. And so the hours drop out. And so now we're left with just calculating the answer. So we have to grab our calculator and we have 25 times 1609 and we have to divide that by 3,600. And I get about 11.2 or so, 11.17, 11.2 meters per second. And if you'll notice that here when I did the calculation, I did some more rounding. I didn't write all of the conversion out. I just rounded it to 4 digits. And that the number of digits will come up very clearly when we talk about significant digits, which is in a couple more lessons from now. So now let's look at the area. Let's say we want to go to 10 miles square. 10 miles square, and we want to go to meters square. Well, 10 miles square, and we want to go, or 10 square miles. We know that there are 1609 meters in 1 mile. But that's miles squared. So again, you can either write it out twice, 1609 meters in a mile. You can write it out twice like this. Notice that one of these miles will cancel this one, and the other mile will cancel this one. And so now we'll have our units in meters square. So that's 10 times 1609 times 1609. And then that's going to give us this huge number, 258. And then we have 88, 8. Wow, lots of 8s. And 10. So this is the number that it gives us, and that's the unit. It would be meters square. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So basically 2.59 times 10 to the 7th with units of meters square. And so notice our result's the same. So you can write it like this, or you could write it like this. 10 miles square, and we have 1609 meters in a mile, and we can just square it like that and we'll get the same result. Notice that this miles squared, this miles in the denominator is going to be squared, so that'll cancel with that. So we'll be left with units of meters square. So let's do volume. We have 2.5 to the 5th cubic centimeters, and we want to determine the number of gallons. Well, 2.5 times 10 to the 5th cubic centimeters. We want to know how many gallons that is. Well, we learned that 1 cubic centimeter is equal to 1 milliliter. And there are 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. And then there are roughly 3.78 liters in 1 gallon. So, cubic centimeters drop out, milliliters drop out, liters, and we're left with gallons. So we have 2.5 to the 5th, and then divided by 1,000, and divided by 3.78, and I get 66.1, or 66 gallons. And again, I did an approximation. Now, you might not, there's another way that we could write this conversion factor. I just want to throw that out there. 2.5 times 10 to the 5th cubic centimeters, 1 cubic centimeter in 1 milliliter. Now, you saw how I wrote 1 liter per 1,000 milliliters. There's 1,000 of these small things and one big thing. We could have said 1 times 10 to the negative 3rd liters in 1 milliliter. Those two statements are equivalent. So we can just write them whatever way you want. And then 1 gallon, and then 3.78 liters. So if you did it that way, 2.5 to the 5th, multiplied by 1 to the negative 3rd, and divided by 3.78. And again, we get 66 gallon. So there are various ways to write out the solution. Just make sure whatever way you choose is a valid approach. So good luck to you.